Hey, welcome back to another video. Today I wanted to go over some beginner money and investing books that you can read. Now, there are lots of books out there to pick from, so I found a couple which I found helpful, so hopefully you might enjoy them too. Now, the books I picked draw on different aspects of money and finance, making this selection go together quite well, and it kind of gives you like a bird's eye view of finances. So if you were like me and you didn't really know where to start, I got you because these books are a great starting point. I'll also be leaving a free template for financial budgeting, so be sure to check that out. If you're someone that learns better through visuals rather than long, dense explanations, then How Money Works is the perfect book for you. Finance can be an overwhelming topic, especially when there's books packed with jargon and complex theories. But this book takes a completely different approach. So instead of like drowning you in technical terms, it really does simplify everything from how the global economy functions to how you can manage your personal finances, all using clear explanations, engaging diagrams, and well-designed charts that make even the most complicated theories and topics feel approachable. And one of the things I really love about this book is how it explains the fundamentals of money in a way that's actually interesting. It starts with the basics, so what money is, where it comes from, and how it moves through in an economy. These are things we often take for granted, but understanding them can completely, shift how you see the financial world. And the book doesn't just stop at the theoretical side though. It dives into real money management, covering essentials like budgeting, saving, borrowing, and investing. It's done in a way that makes sense, so even if you have no prior knowledge of finance. Now, another thing that makes this book stand out for me is that it has a very global perspective. Unlike many finance books out there that only focus on the US or a single country's financial system, but this one takes a much broader view. It explains how different economies function, how money moves across borders, and why financial crises happens worldwide. And it's incredibly valuable because in today's world especially, understanding money isn't just about knowing how to manage your bank account. It's about seeing the bigger picture of how economies operate and how financial decisions are made on a larger scale that can impact you personally. This book is also incredibly accessible. It doesn't matter if you're just a student starting out or a young adult trying to learn more about money and finances, or even if you're older and want a clearer understanding of how the financial system works. The way the information is presented makes it very easy to absorb, even if you've never studied economics or finance before. And because it's very highly visual, it keeps you engaged the entire time, making it one of the best books for people who find traditional finance books complicated or just boring. Now, one key message that really stood out for me is this: the better you understand how money works, the more control you have over your financial future. That's really the core of why this book is so valuable, because money impacts every part of our lives, yet most of us were never properly taught how it actually works. And the more you understand it, the more empowered you are to make better financial decisions. If you're looking for a book that will give you a broad but clear understanding of money, both on a personal and a bigger economic level, this is one of the best resources you can pick up. Investing can feel like an intimidating topic, especially when there's so much conflicting advice out there. And some people make it sound as if you need to constantly monitor the stock market, while others promise you can get rich overnight. But the truth really is that smart investing isn't about picking the next hot stock or timing the market. It's about having a clear, evidence-based strategy. And that's exactly what Smarter Investing by Tim Hill teaches. Now, this book is one of the best guides for long-term, low-stress investing, as opposed to hyping up risky trading strategies. He explains how to build a solid investment portfolio that's designed to weather the ups and downs of the market, to minimize risk and maximize long-term returns without needing to constantly check stock prices or making emotional decisions. And one of the biggest takeaways I got from the book is that most people overcomplicate investing, when in reality the best strategies are usually the simplest. The author makes a strong case for passive investing, so that just means focusing on low-cost index funds, diversifying your investments rather than trying to beat the market. And he backs this up with solid research showing why consistency, patience, and smart asset allocation are far more effective than chasing short-term gains. And another thing I really liked about this book is that it helps you understand your own risk tolerance as well, because a lot of people take too much risk and panic when the market drops, or they're too cautious and miss out on good opportunities to grow their wealth. And Smarter Investing just teaches you how to build a portfolio that matches your personal goals, because everyone is different. So whether you're investing for retirement, financial independence, or just long-term wealth building. And one of the most important messages in the book is that investing is about discipline, not luck. Too many people get caught up in market hype, but this book teaches you how to ignore the noise and focus on what actually works. So, a well diversified portfolio, low fees, and a long term perspective. So, if you're someone that wants to invest but doesn't know where to start, or if you've dabbled in investing but feel unsure about your strategy, really this is a good book that you can get started with. Money is one of those things we all have to deal with, yet most of us were never properly taught how to manage it. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by personal finances, whether it's credit scores, mortgages, or even just understanding where your money goes month to month, Money, A User's Guide by Laura Waitley is a book that you need to read, and it explains everything in very plain English without any unnecessary jargon or complicated theories. And one of the things that makes this book stand out is how relatable and down to earth it is. Unlike a lot of finance books out there that feel like they're written for Wall Street investors, this one is designed for everyday people, especially young adults who are trying to navigate money for the first time. And it covers real life financial issues too, that many of us face but rarely ever talk about, like how to deal with student debt, how to negotiate rent prices, and what to actually look for when you're picking a savings account. Now, this book is split into different sections, each focusing on key aspects of personal finance. It'll cover everything from budgeting and saving to mortgages, credit scores, and even financial scams, things that can seriously impact your financial well-being if you're not careful. One of my favorite things about this book is how it just breaks down investing in a way that's actually understandable. Now, if the idea of investing has always seemed intimidating or risky, this book does do a great job in explaining how to get started without making costly mistakes. It also tackles your psychological side of money. So why do we spend money the way we do? How do social pressures affect our financial decisions? And the book really dives into the emotional and social aspect of money. Another thing I appreciate is that it's written with a UK perspective, which is great if you're from the UK and want finance advice that applies to your situation. But even if you're outside of the UK, the core financial principles still apply, whether it's understanding debt, improving your financial habits, or just learning how to protect yourself from common traps. This book gives you practical and real world advice that anyone can use. Now, a key message that really stuck with me from this book is that managing your money isn't about being rich, it's about having control of your financial future. So if you've ever felt like you should know more about money but didn't know where to start, this is one of the best beginner friendly books out there. If you've ever struggled managing your money, or even wondered why some people seem to build wealth so effortlessly, The Richest Man in Babylon is a book that you need to read. And the best part is that it doesn't feel like your traditional or typical finance book. It teaches powerful money lessons through simple yet compelling stories set in ancient Babylon. At its core, it's about financial wisdom that really has stood the test of time. It follows the story of Arkad, who is a poor scribe that becomes the richest man in Babylon, and how he shares his secrets of wealth with those who are willing to listen. What makes this book so unique is that instead of just listing out financial principles, it weaves them into kind of engaging stories and parables, short, easy to follow stories that illustrate how money works, how wealth is built, and more importantly, how it's kept. One of the key concepts from this book is the idea of paying yourself first. And so that means before you pay bills, before you spend on anything else, you should set aside 10% of your income for savings and investing. It's a very simple idea, but it's life-changing when you actually apply it. And that's what makes this book so effective. It doesn't give you complicated investment strategies or unrealistic get-rich-quick schemes. It focuses on the basics. Save consistently, spend wisely, invest smartly, and avoid any unnecessary debt. Another lesson that stood out for me is the importance of seeking financial advice from the right people. In one of the stories, a man loses his savings because he takes investment advice from a brickmaker instead of a financial expert. It's just a reminder that just because someone is successful in one area, it doesn't mean they're qualified to give advice. And the book just reminds you to be intentional with who you listen to. And above all, the book really is universal and timeless. The next book on the list is The Bogglehead's Guide to Investing. This book breaks investing down into clear, easy to understand principles that anyone can follow. It's all about keeping it simple and playing the long game, which, if you know anything about investing legend John Bogle, is exactly the approach that works. This book is written by a group of passionate followers of Bogle, who is the founder of Vanguard and the pioneer of index fund investing. Now, they call themselves the Boggleheads, and their philosophy is built around low-cost, long-term investing that actually works, without the stress of picking stocks or trying to time the market. The authors really drilled into you that you should ignore everything else and just you're better off investing in broad, low-cost index funds that track the overall market. And why? Because history has shown that most professional fund managers don't even consistently beat the market over time. So rather than spending your time and money on high fee funds or speculative trades, You can build wealth steadily by investing in diversified, low-cost index funds and letting the power of compounding do the heavy lifting. Okay, so there we have it. I hope you found that useful. If you'd like to learn more, you might want to check out this video over here.